What is up, everybody? It is time for another Thursday Night Football preview show. We've got the Eagles taking on the Giants, and not quite as many injuries as what we had last week, because last week on this show, we were breaking down the 49ers injury situation, which included no Brock Purdy, no Juwan Jennings, no Ricky Pearsall. Those guys all got ruled out an hour or so before we did that show. So as a result, there wasn't even props up on DraftKings at the time that we did this show last week. But with that said, the Giants receiving core, pretty banged up. That's going to be important for betting purposes. That's going to be important for DFS as well. We already knew that Malik Neighbors, he was going to be out for the season. We've known that for a week now, but Darius Slayton, hamstring injury for him. He is not going to be able to play for the Giants on a short week. So what does that mean for the overall targets, routes run, snaps, all those things for the Giants pass catchers? Because now you've got the number one wide receiver out for the Giants, the number three wide receivers out for the Giants. Do we expect bigger work for Wan'Dale Robinson? Is this going to be a negative for Wan'Dale Robinson, where he's going to be getting more of the attention of a pretty good Eagles secondary? We'll see. We'll see. Also running a giveaway here, so going to let you guys know about that as well as some more people get in here. But do me a favor, like the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel. If you're following me on Twitter, follow me over there as well. All that is greatly appreciated. If you have any questions at all for me over the course of the show, just throw it into the YouTube chat. I'm going to be seeing all of the comments that you guys put there in chat. And already seeing some messages here right now. Lex Steele says, Suttoness. We've got Terry Shelby here saying nice. And then this one looks like potentially a bot here from Leadership Makes a Difference. Leaders Matter. All right, if you say so. Once again, fairly sure that one was a bot. But either way, I will appreciate all of the views that I get. This is a new show. This is only my third time doing it. So even bots watching the show, it's all appreciated by me. I want to let you guys know about the giveaway that I'm going to be running. I also put it in the YouTube comments. And here's how it is going to work. Leave a comment in the YouTube comments down below, whether you're watching on Stochastic or Odd Shopper. Doesn't matter. I'm going to be checking the comments on both of the channels. Let me know who you think will score a touchdown with the longest odds. Whoever gets the answer correct, and if there's multiple people correct, I'll do it. I'll do it in a raffle style, and I'll pick one of them randomly. But the person who gets the longest touchdown score correct, you're going to get $50 in Tails credit. So if you want to sign up for Eric Lindquist's package, you want to sign up for Ben Roz's package, whoever it is, over at Tails, Tails.bet, or download the Tails app, you are going to get yourself $50 in Tails credit if you are the one who gets the correct answer for who scores a touchdown with the longest odds. So we'll use the FanDuel odds as well as the baseline for this. And also, that's kind of where I want to start anyway, because we got two bonus bets to place for Thursday Night Football. And it's the usual ones that we go over here on FanDuel. There's the touchdown jackpot, where it is a $5 minimum bet. But what ends up happening is whatever ends up happening with that player who scores, if they're the first or the last person to score a touchdown. Obviously, if they just score a touchdown, you win the bet. But if they're also the first or last person to score a touchdown in the game, you end up getting a piece of a jackpot. So it's a $2 million prize pool, $1 million for the first touchdown score, $1 million for the final touchdown score. And if you do end up hitting on the person who scores, you split that pot with as many people who bet that player. Also, we've got the 30% three-leg same-game parlay profit boost. So we'll do that for FanDuel, and then we'll also look over at some of the DraftKings boosts that they have going on over there. So we'll use the FanDuel odds for the giveaway. And once again, how it works, let me know in the YouTube comments, whether it be Odd Shopper or Stochastic, who with the longest odds scores a touchdown. The person who gets the correct answer will get a $50 credit over to Tails. And we got Lex Steele here saying Eric B. Lindquist or Lindy Lindquist. Are there more? There's no way there's... Who would want to be another Eric Lindquist? There's only one Lindy. There's only one Lindy. But also, anybody who you want to get a subscription to on Tails, you could use it for wherever you want. So yeah, Chris Luongo saying sounds pretty cool. And then Lex says AJ Brown. But yeah, don't forget, don't leave it here because these comments go away. Leave it down below in the YouTube comments. So down below the video, down below in the description box, we can leave comments. Leave it there because that's where it gets saved. And also, I'll be totally honest with you guys, helps me in the YouTube algorithm. So any comments you guys leave, any likes on this video, it signals to people that this is a piece of content that people like. And then I have a better chance of more people seeing that content. Also, Jose Valdez here says, should I trade Scadaboo for Dowdle and Sutton? Probably need a little bit more context on your league, but Rico Dowdle, his production is going to be short-lived, right? He had the crazy rushing game last week, but once Chuba Hubbard comes back, he's not going to have the same workload that he had there. So then the question becomes Scadaboo versus Sutton for the most part. And in that kind of scenario, it's more like, what does your team need? Because I think that Scadaboo versus Sutton, it's more so if you need a running back, Scadaboo. If you need pass catching, then Cortland Sutton. Roger Allen also saying Dotson. Once again, leave it down below in the YouTube description box, so I'll be able to find it after the game ends. But let's look here at Dotson right now on screen at 10-1. So what are the touchdown odds looking like? We've got Saquon Barkley -160, Jalen Hurts -130. Those are your shortest odds players. And then you're getting to Scadaboo. Actually, of all the skill position players, Scadaboo is the best odds to score a touchdown on the Giants at +155, which, not massively surprising that he leads the way for the Giants. Maybe a little surprised that the odds are only +155. Barkley -160, pretty clearly the player most likely to score in the game. Then you got A.J. Brown, Dallas Goedert, Devonta Smith, Tyrone Tracy. Looks like he could be back for the Giants. Then you got Jackson Dart, Wendell Robinson. His odds are fairly short in the absence of both Malik Neighbors as well as Darius Slayton, and then Theo Johnson here as well. So first thing I want to do is look at some of the projections we have on the Giants as well as the snap shares for some of these guys, because we've got no Malik Neighbors and we also are going to have no Darius Slayton. And if you look at just the playing time for these guys, well, Darius Slayton was playing 80 to 90% of snaps for the Giants, and then he gets hurt, only ends up playing 75% in week 5. Wendell Robinson, he's been playing a ton of snaps pretty much all year, but you still see a little bit of a boost here. Neighbors gets hurt, and then you see 97% of snaps for Wendell Robinson in week 4, 95% in week 5. So stands to reason that he is going to be playing just about the entire game. Here's what stands out to me. Jalen Hyatt, right? So Jalen Hyatt played 9% of snaps in week 3. He didn't play it all week 1 or week 2. Malik Neighbors gets hurt in week 3. Looks like Jalen Hyatt was the first man on the field who benefited from that. Then we saw 38% of snaps in week 4 to week 3 after barely playing to start the season. So he's the clear beneficiary. First man up of Malik Neighbors getting hurt. And then last week, when you also saw Darius Slayton get hurt, Jalen Hyatt ends up playing 47% of snaps. So you're seeing a slow increase in Jalen Hyatt's workload as the Giants pass catchers go down. As far as targets go. All right. Targets for Jalen Hyatt have been 0, 0, 1, 0. Did see 3 last week. So once again, we're seeing the actual tangible benefits of there being none of Darius Slayton or Malik Neighbors out there. So Jalen Hyatt is somebody who could potentially benefit. And also, as a younger player, I wouldn't be surprised if he's out on the field in garbage time also. What are the odds on him? 7-1. Jalen Hyatt, let's say the Giants are trailing by 1-2 touchdowns in the late stages of the game. Jackson Dart throws a garbage time touchdown to Jalen Hyatt. I don't think he'll be all that popular for the touchdown bonus bet either. That's definitely a consideration for me. That's a consideration. Let's see what we got from the chat here. What do we got from the chat? We've got Josh Gillum says, yo, got first in a college football contest last weekend. Can I still get into Hall of Fame? Absolutely. Just if you're playing with the Stochastic avatar, tweet at us at Stochastic _ HOF and send us a screenshot of that. Absolutely. You could absolutely still get in, Josh. And congrats. Nice hit. Nice hit. Roger Allen, what do we think of Tracy's role coming off the injury? Yeah, I think that's also something we should look at in terms of Cam Scadaboo +155 to score. We got Tyrone Tracy +350. What were the snaps looking like prior to the Tracy injury? And then also I want to look at our Stochastic projections to see what we did with these guys. We gave about 6.5 rush attempts to Tyrone Tracy, 13.5 to Cam Scadaboo. So it looks like we're doing like a 2-1 touches in favor of Scadaboo. And then the receiving work, we've got Scadaboo for 3.9 targets, Tracy 2.5. Yeah, so it looks like for every touch Tracy gets, we're expecting about 2 touches to go to Cam Scadaboo. I do think that's going to make the Scadaboo props, particularly that touchdown prop, a really tough one to touch. Because once again, plus 155. I still think once the Giants get down to the goal line with Tracy coming off injury, it's more likely that Scadaboo's going to get those touches. But still, plus 155 in a game where the Giants aren't expected to score a ton of points. I don't really want to touch the plus 155 number there on Scadaboo. Let's see. What else do we have here in chat? We've got Chris Longo saying, if Scadaboo fumbles again and blames it on the gloves, Tracy's role will expand. Potentially, but you never know with some of these coaches too. Like, look at what we've seen happen with Ramondre Stevenson. He seemingly fumbles every single game, and it's always some sort of catastrophic fumble too that halts a drive that's going really well for the New England Patriots. And they've got Travion Henderson, who they used a lot of draft capital on, waiting in the wings. And Henderson's played, okay when he's gotten on the field, and he just can't get Ramondre Stevenson off the field. It doesn't matter how poorly Stevenson does or how many times he fumbles. It seems like Mike Vrabel likes to go to him. Now, obviously, it's different scenarios, different teams and whatnot. But the point being is that it's really hard to just assume that if a player fumbles after fumbling again last week, that all of a sudden Tyrone Tracy just takes all of his work. Let's see. What else do we have here? Money Meech saying Dart going to have to use his legs. Yeah, I mean, I think that's going to be the case for Dart his entire rookie season. He doesn't have a lot of experience. He's a raw prospect. He's very athletic. But yeah, it's going to take time for him to develop reading a defense, his accuracy, all those kinds of things, whereas the athleticism is already there, and probably the peak of his athleticism is going to be his first few years in the league. So yeah, for sure. What does rushing props look like? They're probably pretty substantial. Where is it? Yeah, 35.5. I mean, for reference, Tracy's at 23.5, Scadaboo's at 48.5. What is our projection on his rushing numbers? What do we have? Yeah, same deal. We got Jackson Dart at 35.2. So it looks like it's warranted. Wouldn't bet the over the under, but seems to make sense. Chris Longo says Debo with the longest touchdown. That's my pick. By the way, I'm talking longest touchdown for the Thursday night football game. If you're picking a game from the weekend, we're already going to have handed out a winner by then. So I should have clarified that. Who's going to score the longest touchdown for Thursday night football? Robin wants to know, Stochastic offers full... we've actually always had this. If you go to the NFL drop-down menu, and you could see all of the different drop-downs we have. If you go to the NFL tools and sims, you'll see our different sim suites. But also, if you go to the NFL DFS premium data, we got projections, ownership, and then the single game stuff here. But then all the way at the bottom, you'll also see here the NFL advanced data. Go to that, and you'll see stacks, showdown, boom bust, and then all the way at the bottom, the NFL DFS projected stats. And that brings you this. This has actually always been here. All right. Let's go back to find who we actually want to place a bet on to score a touchdown now. We've looked at some of those numbers for the Giants to get an idea for who's going to potentially benefit from the absence of Slayton in addition to Neighbors. And that's kind of what I want to focus on, because I think that is the way to create the most upside here. Is going to be a garbage time touchdown for the Giants. And then you've got these same odds, 7-1 on Bo Collins and Jalen Hyatt. And just based on the data we looked at, I have to think that Hyatt is higher on the pecking order than Bo Collins. And you look at the data we have here, we've got Bo Collins for very similar actually in our projections. We got 0.09 touchdowns projected for Collins, 0.08 for Jalen Hyatt. Just curious, what's our DFS projection? We've got Hyatt for 3.58, Collins at 3.87. I mean, it's very close between the two of them. I'm going to lean a little bit more towards Hyatt just because, once again, they both got 3 targets last week. But if you look at the snaps, 47% to Hyatt versus 38% to Collins last week. The week before was 38% to Hyatt to 28% to Collins. So I'm going to go to Jalen Hyatt here. I think he's going to be a little bit higher on the pecking order. So that's what I'm using my $5 jackpot bet on. And the primary rooting interest here is going to be a garbage time touchdown for Hyatt. Like, the Giants are trailing by 14, 21 points at the end of the game, and they get that garbage time touchdown. Jackson Dart to Jalen Hyatt, and we cash. not only the 7-1, but we would also cash the jackpot bonus in that kind of scenario. Robin took Bellinger's TD. Chris Longo is going with A.J. Brown. All right. Also, don't forget. So a lot of people are posting who they are thinking here. Chris Young saying Devonta Smith, longest touchdown, which we'll also talk a little bit more about the longest touchdown when we get over to some of the DraftKings offerings. I assume that they're doing that again for Thursday Night Football, although maybe not because I haven't looked at all the promos they have up. But what we are doing here on the Stochastic and OddsShopper YouTube channels is leave a comment in the comment section, not in the YouTube chat, but in the comment section below the video. Who do you think scores the longest touchdown on Thursday Night Football? If you get the answer correct, you are going to get yourself a $50 Tails credit to use on whoever's packages you want. Eric's in chat. You can get his package. Pretty sure I saw Eric in chat a second ago. Did I? Thought I did. Here it is. Yeah, Eric. Look at that. It says hit the like button. This is fire and profitable content. You can get Eric's Tails package or any of the other guys on Tails. All you have to do, leave a comment below who scores the longest touchdown. The person who gets the answer correct gets a $50 Tails credit, or if multiple people tie, then we'll do a drawing and figure out one of the people who ends up getting it. All right, so we placed that bet. Let's see what's next. We've also got here a 30% profit boost. So let's look at some of the props. So one thing that I also bet this over on Tails, I think the number may have moved by now. But where is, here's Tails. If you guys haven't gone to Tails, download the app. It's free. Go to tails.bet. You can follow me, Eric, Lofty, Ben, all of the guys that we have here. You can find us, search for us, click on our names, press here to follow us. So let's see. What are some of the bets that I have already placed for Thursday Night Football? I've got Saquon Barkley over 2.5 receptions. I've got Wan'Dale Robinson for under 46.5 receiving yards. What's that number looking like now? What is that number on FanDuel? It is now at, for Wan'Dale Robinson, I got some good CLV. It's at 43.5 now. I don't know that I'd want to bet it at 43.5, but even though the Giants are shorthanded, yeah, that's going to mean potentially extra targets go to Wan'Dale Robinson, but the Eagles have a really good secondary. And Wan'Dale Robinson isn't a true number one wide receiver. I think he's going to struggle to create separation against the Eagles. And then another thing to consider as well is, the Giants aren't exactly opening up the playbook for Jackson Dart to get really creative and throw the ball downfield. And in a tough matchup, I think they could be pretty conservative with Dart. So I'm not super interested in Wan'Dale Robinson. I'd rather take shots on Jalen Hyatt. I'd rather take shots on Bo Collins at really low numbers. Yeah, they both have a 16.5 receiving yard prop, but like I said before, I'm a little bit more interested in Jalen Hyatt. So I actually want to build a same game parlay here for a blowout game script. By the way, this is what we did last week when we were doing the show for Thursday. We built a same game parlay for a game script where the Rams blew out the 49ers because the 49ers were missing half of their team. They didn't have their starting quarterback. They didn't have their top two wide receivers. Their best defensive player, Nick Bosa, is out for the year. So we try to build the same game parlay with a game script of the 49ers getting blown out by the Rams, and the 49ers just won the game outright. But still, we're building a correlated same game parlay. We're trying to create some upside. It's not like we're always expecting a 15 or 20 to 1 ticket or whatever it is to end up winning. But here are some of the guys who I think would benefit in garbage time for the Giants. Jalen Hyatt. Got Bo Collins. We've also got Daniel Bellinger here. And I saw somebody in chat. Yeah, it was Robin said they took Bellinger's touchdown. By the way, another bet here. The legend Ron says he got $100 on Jackson Dart over rushing yards and Saquon Barkley for an anytime touchdown. All right. Yeah, I don't hate the Jackson Dart rushing yard prop. I just think the number's about fair. I don't think there's I don't hate the over. I don't hate the under. I just think the line is just about right. But anyway, I want to go to Jalen Hyatt over 16.5 receiving yards. I also want to go to Cam Skattebo over 13.5 receiving yards. Now, I know we do have Tyrone Tracy back for the Giants, but still, once again, in our receiving yard props that we have here over at Stochastic, we do have about a 4-target projection on Cam Skattebo coming out to 22.5 receiving yards. And then also, if you look at some of the targets for Skattebo, you'll see here that he's been getting a good amount of targets. 7 last week, only a 2 in week 4, but keep in mind the Giants did win that game. 8 in week 3. This does set up to be a game script where the Giants are going to have to throw the ball a little bit more, even though I think that Tracy coming back is going to cut a little bit into Scadaboo's workload. At the same time, too, somebody who got 8 to 7 targets, like I still think we should be getting 5-6 targets out of Cam Scadaboo, especially in a scenario where the Giants are going to be looking to have to throw the football. 13.5 is a very low receiving prop. Once again, we haven't projected for 23.5 receiving yards over at Stochastic. So I'm going to go with Scadaboo and Jalen Hyatt here. Let's see, what else? On the Eagles side of the game, Barkley, 86.5 rushing yards. What are some of the alt lines looking like? Plus 100 for 90 yards. All right, let's go with the... Yeah, okay. I like this build here. So we're thinking a game script. The Eagles win by 1 or 2 touchdowns. They figured to be running the ball out in the fourth quarter. The Giants, probably some check down passes to Scadaboo. Then Jalen Hyatt also just generally benefiting from the absence of some of the Giants pass catchers. No Malik Neighbors, no Darius Slayton. Let's fire this one up. And I'll post this on Tails afterwards also, so anybody who missed it on the show or just want to be reminded, it'll be posted over on Tails. I think this is a $10. Yeah, $10 max is the most I'm allowed to bet here. Cool. I'll plug it in. $10, payout of $76 here, so we got plus 665 odds. I like that one. And now let's go back really quick just to check some of the projections we had on these guys. Yeah, Jalen Hyatt, we have projected for, from a fantasy standpoint, 3.58 fantasy points. Scadaboo, even with Tracy back, he's still at 14.13 fantasy points. From a DFS standpoint, I don't know that I'm going to want to pay $10K for Cam Scadaboo. Like, look at all the other pay-up options. Look at this. We've got Jackson Dart at 10-2, projected a little bit better than Scadaboo, but look at the big gap between Jalen Hurts and Saquon Barkley and the Giants pay-up options. Barkley is $1,600 more expensive than Scadaboo, but projecting for nearly 6 more fantasy points. Jalen Hurts projecting for more than 6 fantasy points, just $1,000 more expensive. This is where Tyrone Tracy being back is going to really hurt Scadaboo, is at this 10K price tag. For prop purposes, where the receiving yard prop is 13.5, I like the over. But for DFS, 10K, probably not going to like Scadaboo quite as much. All right, let's move over to DraftKings. Also, if you guys have any questions, throw them into the YouTube chat. Yeah, Chris Longo saying that lineup that Lofty posted on Tails for Sunday's 400K SPY is looking pretty sweet right now. Yeah, so one thing that Lofty and I are doing also over on Tails, I'll show you guys this. Go over to Tails and we'll find Lofty here. So if you guys are trying to find Lofty, same deal as if you're trying to find me or anybody else. You could just type them into the search bar, pull it up here, and you'll see Lofty has this pinned to his profile. This is a $1,000 giveaway that Lofty and I are doing together. He has won a couple of bets against me, and here's how it works. I owe him an entry into the SPY over on DraftKings. That $100 buy-in, maybe $121. I forget. Sometimes it changes, but I think it's $100. So here's what we're doing. If you guys like this post, all you have to do is hit this flame emoji here. This now is up to 338 likes, although I'll undo it so I'm not included in this. If we win, we come in first place in this contest. We're going to give away $1,000 to one person who likes this post. And this is the initial build that we have for the lineup. Subject to change just because, news could change over the course of the week. But what we have here is if you guys like this post and this lineup ends up winning, then we're giving $1,000 to one person who likes it. Claire in the chat saying, can you do FanDuel? We just built out a same-game parlay and a touchdown score for FanDuel. We're moving over to DraftKings now. But we covered, I thought, the FanDuel bets pretty thoroughly there. All right. I just realized that this happens because of the timeout sessions. I got logged out of my DraftKings account. So I am just logging in on my other screen here. It's making me do the two-factor authentication. It would help if I typed the number incorrectly. And once I'm logged in, I could throw this up on screen, and then we could see what boosts are available on DraftKings for tomorrow. All right, here we go. All right, now we've got DraftKings loaded in here too. So let's go over to the NFL section. We'll check out the Thursday night football, see what boosts are available. All right, so we have a 50% profit boost. Anything else? What are these other ones? Oh, no longest touchdown for Thursday night football. At least not yet, it doesn't look like. All right, so we've just got the 50% boost. So what do you guys want to use it on? Do we want to build a same game parlay? Do we want to find a touchdown score? Do we want to just find an individual prop bet? Do we want to bet a side here? That's all we got. Just the one boost there. We double check. Yeah, Thursday night football, 50% profit boost. Nobody in their entire life has read all these terms and conditions. For all we know, this thing could say here that if the bet wins, they own your first and third born child, but we'll never know. We're never going to read this. We just agree to the terms. We opt in and we say, yes, thank you, DraftKings. That seems agreeable to me. All right, what do we have here? Yeah, Lil G says he loves Lofty. Yeah, guys, go check out all of Lofty's content. Him and I do a bunch of DFS content together as well, but yeah, his betting content as well. If you're watching on Stochastic and you haven't checked out our Odd Shopper channel, go and look at all of the breakdown videos that Lofty's doing for all the games that he breaks down. I've also got Brandon here saying that he's got a Dart and Hurts anytime touchdown. All right. All right. Let's look at some of these odds here. What do some of the touchdown odds look like relative to the FanDuel odds? Like, where's Jalen Hyatt? Jalen Hyatt's at plus 650 as compared to the plus 700 number he had over on FanDuel. Bo Collins is at plus 750 as compared to the 700 number that he had over on FanDuel. I know somebody earlier said they like Jahan Dotson. He's plus 950 on DraftKings. I believe he was plus 1100 over on FanDuel. You got Will Shipley here. He's live for a potential garbage time touchdown. Let me check some of the snaps for the Eagles. Who could potentially score a garbage time touchdown for the Eagles? Let's look at the snap counts. So earlier in the year, we opened the season with Will Shipley as the backup running back to Saquon Barkley. He actually played fairly well in that opening game, but what happened? He got hurt pretty quickly. A.J. Dillon took over as the backup, played pretty decently. Now you're seeing a little bit more of a split here. 14% of snaps for A.J. Dillon. Keep in mind, Will Shipley also plays a little bit on special teams, though. So, yeah, it looks like A.J. Dillon, for at least the time being, is going to be the backup running back to Saquon Barkley. What does our projections have? Let's see, for DFS, we've got 2.57 fantasy points for Dillon. We got 1.14 for Shipley. And then for our stat projections, we've got 3 rush attempts for A.J. Dillon, just 0.67 for Will Shipley. So, yeah, kind of what I was speculating on there is where our projections are at, as well as A.J. Dillon being the backup to Saquon Barkley. Will Shipley does still have a role on special teams, though, where you could, maybe see him return a kick for a touchdown or something along those lines. But yeah, if we were going to pick one of the Eagles guys for a garbage time touchdown, I would go to A.J. Dillon before Will Shipley. Plus 950 for Dillon. What was Dillon over on FanDuel? Let's see. On FanDuel, Dillon is. Am I looking at the two? Okay. No, this is right. Okay. All right. So A.J. Dillon is 10-1. 10-1, and then 80-1 for 2 touchdowns. All right, so slightly more favorable odds for A.J. Dillon on FanDuel than on DraftKings. Boy, a lot of people liking Dotson. Jose Morales also saying he likes Dotson. Nikola Jokic 1 also likes Dotson. By the way, people might think that this is the real Nikola Jokic. He's into 2 things in the NBA offseason. Betting long odds touchdown bets and horse racing. Theo Johnson. Theo Johnson did not have great odds to score. Plus 390 on DraftKings. And on FanDuel, Theo Johnson is plus 410. Not great odds to score a touchdown on Theo Johnson. Make sure you're getting in shape for the NBA season, Nicolia. Also, for the people, want to reiterate this one more time. For people who are leaving their touchdown picks in the comment section, or I should say in the chat, leave it in the comment section. So in the YouTube comments below the video, let me know who you think is going to score the longest touchdown. One person who gets the correct answer is going to win a $50 Tails credit to sign up for any package of all the people we have on over at Tails. So I'll leave that comment down below in the YouTube comments for a chance to win. Also, while you're down there, like the video and subscribe to the YouTube channel too. All right. What are some of these other odds looking like? In general, it looks like the odds are better on FanDuel and DraftKings, kind of across the board. People are pushing Jahan Dotson, though. Now I feel like if I don't bet Jahan Dotson to score, and he does end up scoring, I'm going to be regretful of that, just because of people being on him. What's our projection on Dotson? We've got Dotson for 2.2 targets, 13 receptions. He's solidly been the third wide receiver for the Eagles this year. 178 snaps for him. And then you got, Devonta Smith and A.J. Brown are in on just about every play. Targets. 10 targets for Dotson on the season. 36 for A.J. Brown. 30 for Devonta Smith. And then, of course, at tight end, we got Dallas Goedert at 22, even though he missed that game in week 2. Nikola Jokic also wants to know the odds for Dallas Goedert. Yeah, let's look at the odds for Dallas Goedert. I also want to look at some of the red zone numbers for the Eagles. Dallas Goedert's touchdown prop, plus 250 on FanDuel, plus 235 on DraftKings. Same thing we've seen for like all of these guys. All the odds are like 10 to 20 to 30 cents better on DraftKings than FanDuel. The one exception was Bo Collins is plus 750 on DraftKings and plus 700 on FanDuel. What are the red zone touches looking like for the Eagles? All right, so once you get down to the goal line, you've got, or in the red zone, I should say, 17 touches for Saquon Barkley, 4 for Smith, 3 for Brown, 1 for Dotson, 3 for Goddard, although Dotson does have a little bit of big play upside as well. I'm kind of interested that A.J. Dillon has 2, just in the potential of a blowout game script. I just don't want to bet it on DraftKings so we can get better odds over on FanDuel. All right, let's build the same game parlay with the 50% boost. Let's look at some of the DraftKings props. Just kind of scanning them. All right, let's go to the receiving props. I want to look at the over-unders. Where's Wan'Dale Robinson? Yeah, this number has come down a ton. Once again, I did post a bet here on Wan'Dale Robinson over on Tails. If we go back to my Tails, I had Wan'Dale Robinson for under 46.5, and it looks like that line is dropped by anywhere from 3 to 4 yards. But if you guys want to get all the bets for myself and all the other guys, just go to tails.bet or download the Tails app. I've got Wan'Dale Robinson for under 46.5 receiving yards. And then I've also right now got Saquon Barkley for over 2.5 receptions. What are those numbers looking like now? Barkley receptions, 2.5 plus 103. So those odds have moved a little bit. And then, yeah, much lower prop on Wan'Dale Robinson. Let's build a different game script here. We already built one with the Eagles blowout game script. Let's build one just where the game's a little bit more competitive. Maybe a game where the Eagles actually have to throw the football. What's the passing prop for Jalen Hurts? It would help if I click the right tab. This is pretty low. Plus money on Jalen Hurts to have 200 passing yards. I know there's a big negative stink around Jalen Hurts right now. And there's probably a little bit of an expectation on a short week playing against the Giants that the Eagles are going to look more to run the ball with Saquon Barkley than to throw it with Jalen Hurts. Hurts had 280 passing yards last week, though. I know it was a game script that was a little more favorable to throwing the football. But if we're going to build a game, we're going to build a same game parlay under the game script. This game stays relatively competitive. This number is so low. There's definitely upside to it. What are some of these other alt lines? Yeah, we get plus 173 for Jalen Hurts to have 220 passing yards. And then what are some of the receiving yard props? I imagine these have to be fairly low. We've got A.J. Brown at 64.5. All right, we'll take Devonta Smith, 50.5. Got A.J. Brown, 64.5. Dotson is down there at 9.5 for all the people who are liking Dotson. All right, let's combine the alt over on Jalen Hurts with either the 50.5 prop on Devonta Smith or maybe an alt line. What are the alt receiving yard lines for Devonta Smith? Smith also had over 100 receiving yards last week. What did he finish with exactly? 114 was what he finished with last week. He's been pretty, I mean, you look at the last handful of games, 10 targets last week, caught 8 of them for 114 yards, had a stinker of a game against Tampa Bay. The week before that against the Rams, 9 targets, caught 8 of them for 60 yards and a touchdown. Against the Chiefs, 6 targets, 4 catches for 53 yards. Let's see, what does Just Fred say? I heard different game script, and I thought, finally, so much money again on huge popular favorite TD scorer. How many times do we got to get buried? Then he said in a follow-up, and while I thought it would be a Giants offense success, just Eagles passing game. Well, look at how low the lines are, though, because of what the Jalen Hurts says an under 200 passing yard prop. Money Meach says he got over 48.5 receiving yards on Devonta Smith. I like that, too. Yeah, I think that's a good look. But yeah, to your point, Just Fred, I do think this is a way different look at a game script here by looking at some of the Eagles passing game. It's low numbers. I think there's upside. All right, Smith. What's Smith at 60.5 plus 139 plus? Okay, so 50 plus is minus 117. All right, let's. I prefer to get the better odds on the half yard. I'd rather go over 50.5 at minus 110 than over 49.5 at minus 117. So let's go with this 2-leg play here. And what is the bonus? Max $10 wager, 50% profit boost. Cool. All right, so $10, and we're getting 4-1 odds on this. Correlates pretty reasonably well. Of course, I'm not allowed to bet $10. It says max $10. I'm not allowed to bet $10. My max bet is $3.73. Whatever. Beggars can't be choosers. This is what they'll allow me to do. It is what it is. All right. There is my $3.73 boost bet that I was able to place over on DraftKings. But I like that. We've got 220 passing yards for Jalen Hurts, 50.5 passing yards over for Devonta Smith. And we got, pretty solid odds on that. Let's see if there's anything else from chat. Just Fred says, nice. Also, getting a TD might help solve problems in the locker room. And then Just Fred, I hear you. And Saquon's receiving props. Yeah, I mean, I just because it was plus money, I like the number. I got plus 110 on Saquon Barkley over 2.5 receptions. And yeah, looks like there's no other questions from chat. Oh, we do have one comment here from Sotek says, the way things have been going for Showdown lately, wouldn't surprise me if the Giants made this game competitive and win outright. The Giants winning outright would surprise me. The game being kind of competitive wouldn't be massively surprising. There's so much randomness in football games. The Eagles are still only 7-point favorites in this game. The same line that we had for last Thursday night football game, and the underdog ended up winning. I wouldn't pick I'll say this. I don't expect the Giants to win. I'm not going to pick them to win. It would be a little surprising to me to win. I wouldn't be stunned. I wouldn't be blown away oh my God, the Giants have no chance to win the game. But anyway, guys, that's a good walkthrough of everything we're looking at on the initial projections and some bets to look at here. Nikola Jokic saying he thinks the Eagles get right this game. Yeah, wouldn't be shocking to me at all. And Christopher says he's betting some dart passing overs. Well, guys, thank you all very much for watching. If you've not done yet, like the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel, subscribe to both channels, Odd Shopper as well as Stochastic, and leave a comment below. Who do you think is going to score the longest touchdown on Thursday Night Football? One person who gets the correct answer is going to win a $50 credit to go spend over at the Tails Marketplace. So go in and on that. There's nothing that could go wrong for you. You get your pick wrong, no big deal. Nobody's going to remember about it next week. But if you get your pick right, you have a chance to win $50. So go and leave that comment below, like the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Thank you guys very much for watching. Have a great night. We'll see you back here tomorrow.